Shabbat Shalom. One of the more troubling passages in Parshat Ki Tetze is turned on its head by Ibn Ezra, who was a famous Spanish commentator in the Middle Ages. In the opening lines of the Parsha, we read about the ben sorer umoreh, the rebellious child, whose gluttony and whose drunkenness and whose defiance carries in the explicit meaning of the text the harshest of penalties, the death penalty. And we cringe when we read that passage every year, both at the thought of such a wayward child and the thought that the Torah might actually have expected such a penalty ever to be carried out. Now, scholars disagree as to whether this was ever meant as a practical standard of behavior or an intentionally exaggerated warning against excessive rebelliousness. But either way you read the text, the child comes out poorly, whether or not he deserves the death penalty. Now, the rabbis of the Talmud sought to limit the circumstances in which this penalty would ever be meted out. Ibn Ezra offers the most interesting limitation, commenting on the description of the child as one who, quote, does not heed his parents. Ibn Ezra says that the child can only be charged if the parents' behavior has been exemplary, if the parents have acted beyond reproach. Otherwise, they, as imperfect parents, have no right to bring accusations against him. Through this prism, the verses are less an admonition to the youngsters about acting out and more a challenge to parents to refine their parenting skills. We know that every child is a unique soul. There's no script for any child's maturation, despite the hopes of his or her parents. And while it's true that society can rightly be wary of excessive waywardness amongst its youth, Ibn Ezra reminds us of who are the adults in the home. We should expect even more of parents than we do of children. And if we struggle with our children, we should be prepared to look into the mirror before we lash out at the child. That's the most relevant and modern of lessons, and one which serves each of us well as we involve ourselves in the self-reflection of the month of Elul, and as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah. Shabbat Shalom.